Russia when they land at Joint Base Andrews on American soil for the first time in years. President Biden secured the release of Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan, Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty journalist Alsu Kurmasheva, and journalist and Putin critic Vladimir Kara-Murza in an historic exchange. The largest prisoner swap since the Cold War was coordinated by Turkey and involved 26 people and 8 countries following nearly 2 years of negotiations and diplomatic efforts by the Biden administration after the triumphant release of WNBA and Team USA star Brittany Griner. Today, a senior official told reporters that a breakthrough in the deal came when President Biden met with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who, quote, responded to the president saying, "For you, I will do this." The deal was finalized in the last 2 weeks. NBC News reports, quote, even with the Russian okay, it was a pitch in progress that did not come together until about an hour before Biden announced on July 21st that he was ending his run for re-election. That was when he called the Slovenian prime minister to make sure his country was ready to release the Russian in their custody. An hour before President Biden announced on July 21st he was ending his run for re-election. The president was about to shock the world, ending his own political career and endorsing his vice president for the Democratic nomination, upending the presidential race 106 days before the election. And he was working. The administration was working to finish this deal. The presidency is a 24/7 job, and a president is expected to make decisions on every imaginable subject, respond to any and all crises, and to move between those subjects and crises seamlessly. And unfortunately for American voters, it's often out of view. So yes, on Sunday, July 21st, as President Biden was in the midst of a heartbreaking personal decision and making calls to rally Democrats to support his vice president, he was also managing the culmination of an American diplomatic victory nearly 2 years in the making. Today, surrounded by the families of the Americans coming home, President Biden spoke to the nation.
This is a very good afternoon, a very good afternoon. Today, we're bringing home Paul, Evan, Alsu. All 4 have been imprisoned unjustly in Russia. Paul for nearly 6 years. Vladimir since 2022. Evan since March of 2023. And Alsu since October of 2023. Russian authorities arrested them, convicted them in show trials, and sentenced them to long prison terms with absolutely no legitimate reason whatsoever, none. Paul, a former Marine, was in Russia for a wedding. Evan, a journalist with a Russian, in Russia, was in Russia, signed by the Wall Street Journal. Alsu, also a journalist, was in Russia to see family. All 3 falsely accused of being spies. And Vladimir was a Russian citizen by birth and holds an American green card. He's a Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist and was a pallbearer at my friend John McCain's funeral with me. He spoke out against Putin's regime. And for that, he was convicted of treason. And now, their brutal ordeal is over, and they're free. The deal that made this possible was a feat of diplomacy and friendship. Friendship. Multiple countries helped get this done. They joined a difficult, complex negotiations at my request, and I personally thank them all again. Today is a powerful example of why it's vital to have friends in this world.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan explained how it happened.
This was vintage Joe Biden, rallying American allies to save American citizens and Russian freedom fighters, and doing it with intricate statecraft, pulling his whole team together to drive this across the finish line. From the president on down, we've stayed in regular and routine touch with them. Today, today was a very good day, and we're going to build on it, drawing inspiration and continued courage from it for all of those who are held hostage or wrongfully detained around the world.
Vice President Harris played a critical role in the complex prisoner swap. A White House official told NBC News that, quote, she moved the ball forward significantly when she discussed the prisoner exchange with the German chancellor in February. The United States was working to include Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny in the prisoner exchange deal until he died in prison. Today, Vice President Harris spoke with the widow of Alexei Navalny, Yulia Navalnaya. According to the phone call's readout, quote, the vice president commended Navalnaya for her courage in continuing her husband's work for justice and the rule of law in Russia. Vice President Harris was in Houston today, where she gave the eulogy at the homegoing service for Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. She said this before leaving Washington to meet with President Biden and welcome the freed Americans home.
As President Biden announced earlier today, Paul, Evan, Asu, and green card holder Vladimir, who were unjustly held in Russia, will soon be released. In the face of atrocious and devastating circumstances, Russia and sentenced them to long prison terms. This has been an appalling perversion of justice. Over many years, President Biden and I and our team have engaged in complex diplomatic negotiations to bring these wrongfully detained Americans home. We never stopped fighting for their release. And today, in spite of all of their suffering, it gives me great comfort to know that their horrible ordeal is finally over. This exchange also includes the release of Russian political prisoners, including those who worked with Alexei Navalny. Earlier today, I spoke with Alexei's widow, Yulia, to discuss the significance of their release. And as I told her, this being an additional time from previous conversations with her, the United States stands with all of those who are fighting for freedom in Russia. As we celebrate today's news, we must also keep front of mind that there are other Americans that are unjustly being held in places around the world. And we will never stop fighting for their release. As Vice President, it has been my honor to work alongside our President, Joe Biden, to bring home more than 70 Americans in the last 3.5 years. And we will never waver in our commitment to bring home every American who has been wrongfully detained or held hostage. That is my solemn commitment to my fellow Americans, which I will always honor. Thank you all.
Joining us now, Democratic Senator, Foreign Relations Committee, and is co-chair of the Vice President Harris's presidential campaign. Senator Coons, always good to see you. This is an incredible governing victory for the Biden-Harris administration. We only found out about it today, but it took 2 years to get here. What did it take to secure this release?
It took a huge amount of negotiations, close engagement with the families, in-person and direct negotiations with a whole range of different allied countries, from Germany to Slovenia to Turkey, obviously to Russia as well, and a very delicate balance of the different elements of this package. There were so many different prisoners who were released from different prisons in Western countries and from Russia. So this is a towering accomplishment of diplomacy by the Biden-Harris administration. Vice President Harris, as you just reported, during the Munich Security Conference in February, had in-person meetings with critical leaders like German Chancellor Olaf Scholz. President Biden was engaged in this personally right up to the very hour that he announced he was not going to be a candidate for president this fall. So it has taken dedicated and personal work by our president and vice president, by our national security advisor, by Roger Carstens, the special presidential envoy for hostage affairs, by the Secretary of State, the CIA director. There were many, many folks actively engaged in this over several years.
I want to talk to you about July 21st in a moment, but Donald Trump has criticized the deal, of course. Here's what he said during the debate with the president in June.
We have a hostage, a Wall Street Journal reporter, I think a good guy, and he's over there because Putin, in the election, I will have that reporter out.
So, Senator, President Biden obviously knew a deal was close and couldn't say. But what do you read into Vladimir Putin's agreeing to the prisoner exchange now?
Well, first, what former President Trump said is just flat out not true. Paul Whelan, the Marine, was taken prisoner by the Russians while President Trump was in office. The idea that somehow this reflects on Putin's respect for one or disrespect for another is just another of former President Trump's outlandish and unhinged assertions. I do think that this shows that President Biden and Vice President Harris and their team are masterful negotiators, that they were able to fine-tune what were the different exchanges necessary to secure the release of these Americans and Russian freedom fighters.
So, Senator Coons, you spoke to President Biden on July 21st, the day he stepped aside, while securing the release of the detainees. What can you tell us about that conversation?
Well, look, parts of it I'm just going to keep private, but he wanted to thank me for my loyalty and my engagement and my hard work, and I thanked him for his incredible service and leadership. He called me just moments before it was announced that he was going to step aside and endorse Vice President Harris. As you've seen in the nearly 2 weeks since, there's been a real energy and an engagement by volunteers, by donors, by Democratic Party activists, as well as just average voters all over the country who've been caught up in the excitement about Vice President Harris, who will soon be our nominee at the Democratic Convention in August. I expect that we will also take time at our convention to recognize and thank President Biden for his more than 50 years of public service and for his incredible leadership at home and abroad. His expertise, his deep knowledge, his relationships with leaders around the world is what has made possible a whole series of his significant steps forward, whether it's building partnerships in the Indo-Pacific, like the AUKUS partnership for nuclear submarines, or the trilateral partnership between Japan, South Korea, and the United States, Ukraine. He's done a huge amount. And if I might, Jonathan, for one more moment, as these folks newly released from prison are welcomed home, President Biden, Vice President Harris, they've done their part, their team's done their part. Congress has some unfinished work to do. I have 2 bipartisan bills to make sure that when Americans detained overseas are returned home, they aren't greeted by a downgrading in their credit score and a letter from the IRS with fines and fees. I first learned about this from Jason Rezaian, the Washington Post reporter who spent 1.5 years in an Iranian prison. And when Jason came home, the first thing he got from our government was a letter from the IRS saying he owed thousands of dollars in fines and fees for his unpaid taxes. It turns out that Congress has to act in order to waive those fines and fees. And so I have a bipartisan bill with Senator Rounds that has cleared the Senate. We are waiting for the House to act. And I have a bipartisan bill with Senator Tillis to restore the credit rating of anyone who's been wrongfully detained. Paul Whelan, the Marine, who has spent more than 6 years in a Russian prison, is a classic example of someone who obviously has a ruined credit score because of his years of unjust imprisonment overseas. I want to get this over the finish line so that Congress can contribute to welcoming home these American heroes who have now finally been freed from their overly long ordeal of being imprisoned in Russia.
Senator Coons, I did not know that that they were hit with those serve on the Foreign Relations Committee, and you talk to me about how you think she will continue this kind of collaborative work versus Donald Trump's style of "I alone can fix it."
I am confident that Vice President Harris, who has been side by side with President Biden in meetings with more than 140 different world leaders, and who gave a strong and stirring speech at the Munich Security Conference, both this year and last year, has a clear-eyed view of our place in the world and the importance of allies. President Biden, based on his many years of experience, respects and recognizes that the United States is safer, stronger, and more prosperous because of our global network of allies and partners. Russia, China, they only have each other, and Iran and the North Korean regime. The global alliance States has built over the last 70 years. I'm confident that Kamala Harris, as our president, starting this November after the election, will continue that wise and long tradition of American leadership through the
Delaware, thank you very much for coming to The Last Word.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And coming up, today, Donald Trump escalated his attacks on Vice President Kamala Harris's racial identity and went back to an old, vile tactic, the birth certificate. That's next.
I think the issue that will determine who wins this election is to read, freedom for parents of LGBTQ kids to parent them, whether you're talking about state races, local. The most important question on the ballot, really.
But it's a bit of a dinosaur because it only treats your symptoms, not inflammation. Treating both symptoms and inflammation with Rescue is supported by asthma experts. Supra is the first ever dual-action rescue inhaler. Supra is the only rescue FDA approved to do both. Air Supra is an as-needed rescue inhaler and should not be used as a maintenance treatment for asthma. Get medical help right away if your breathing does not improve, continues to worsen, or for serious allergic reactions. Using Air Supra more than prescribed could be life-threatening. Serious side effects include heart problems, increased risk of thrush, or infections. Doctor, if Air Supra is right for you.
Clogged gutters can cause big problems fast. Until now, call 83.
Now I understand why.
Right now, Leaf Filter is offering a free inspection on your schedule. Leaf Filter is a permanent gutter solution, so you never have to worry about costly damage from clogged gutters again. Inspection. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
I have type 2 diabetes, but I manage it well. It's a little pill with a big story to tell. I take once daily. I'm lowering my A1C.
Jardiance works 24/7 in your body to flush out some sugar.
May include ketoacidosis that may be fatal, dehydration that can lead to some worsening of kidney function, and genital yeast or urinary tract infections. A rare life-threatening bacterial infection in the skin of the perineum could occur. Stop Jardiance and call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of this infection, ketoacidosis, or an allergic reaction. You may have increased risk for lower limb loss. Call your doctor right away if you have symptoms of infection in your legs or feet. Taking Jardiance.
A little pill with the big story to tell.
I tried a bunch of different probiotics before seed.
And irregularity. It's really helping my daily bowel movements and keeping me pretty regular.
I started feeling better and less bloated to seed because it actually works.
Now I walk around and smiling every day because I don't get bloated anymore.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can it keep me warm when I'm cold?
Wait, no, I'm always hot.
Sleep Number does that. Save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed, plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add an adjustable base. Shop now.
So that's how they're so productive. They use Fiverr. Look how quickly they find freelance.
Grow your business easily with freelancers. Fiverr.
Tonight on Prime Time in Paris.
The greatest ever takes
In the women's all-around final.
That was unbelievable.
Prime Time in Paris tonight on NBC and Peacock.
Ad-free listening to Rachel Maddow's chart-topping series, bonus content, and new episodes of Morning Joe and MSNBC original podcasts ad-free. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts.
Donald Trump's vice presidential nominee, J.D. Vance, visited the border today for a photo op, which is weird since he at Donald Trump's request. Ignoring that recent record, J.D. Vance attacked Vice President Harris with the false claim that she was America's borders policies like mass deportations that he and Donald Trump would enact as, quote, common sense. We'll get a reality check with the mayor of a border town in Cochise County, Arizona, where J.D. Vance was today in just a moment. But of course, reporters wanted to know how J.D. Vance, the father of 3 biracial children, felt about Donald Trump's false claim that Kamala Harris, quote, turned black. Just listen to how he responded.
What I believe is that Kamala Harris is a chameleon. We just saw her in Georgia a couple of days ago, a person who spent a lot of her life in Canada putting on a southern accent in front of Georgia. Trump's point is that she is a chameleon. She presents a different face.
Yeah. Also, he clearly doesn't know black people. This is what Trump said.
I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black? Because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn, and she became a black person.
Just to be
And today, Donald Trump doubled down on those racist lies, including going back to the racist lie he told about President Obama that launched his career as a Republican, the birth certificate. Donald Trump shared a post by a far-right activist posting Harris's birth certificate and drumming up conspiracy theories about it. Donald Trump also posted this very nice family photo of Kamala Harris, suggesting that because she spent time with one side of her family, the other side must not exist. A spokesperson for Kamala Harris's campaign responded to the attacks today, quote, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump are trafficking in hatred and lies to divide the American people because with no positive vision to move our country forward, all they can do is drag us back. Joining us now, Congresswoman Shontel Brown, who represents Ohio's 11th congressional district. Congresswoman Brown, thank you for coming to The Last Word. Your reaction to the escalating attacks by Trump on Vice President Harris's race?
Well, you pointed it out. This is nothing new. This is something we saw when President Obama was in office. And so zebras don't change their stripes and leopards don't change their spots. So we shouldn't really be surprised. And it's not surprising to me that he is incapable of comprehending that two things can exist at the same time. And so that is not a surprise. Perhaps he should take a cognitive test to make sure that he is even capable to be running for such an office. But I think he has proven multiple times that he is unfit, unhinged, radical, racist, and wrong on so many levels. And so he just continues to show who he truly is to the American people and the world when he is presented with such opportunities for us to see the foolishness that will fall out of his mouth when given a chance.
The foolishness. You know, this Republican ticket is a big tent for racism and sexism. And J.D. Vance did not disavow. Is J.D. Vance obsessed with women's reproductive choices? And he says he's pro-family. But what about support? What about supportive policies that actually help American families?
Well, given his relationships with couches, I could understand why he might have this fixation against women. But what I would say is that his anti-women and war approach is really, truly devastating. And they tested this out in Ohio last year with the Issue One campaign, where we were fighting to protect women's rights to make their own healthcare decisions. And the evangelist of Trump's Project 2025, J.D. Vance, supports having a national abortion ban. And I can't help but to remind the folks every time. I'm from Ohio, where we had a 10-year-old rape victim who had to leave the state because of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, have their own rights to make their own healthcare decisions enshrined in our Constitution last year. I am from the state of Ohio, where Brittany Watts, a young Black woman who had a miscarriage in her bathroom, and because the fetus got stuck in the toilet, they were going to charge her with abuse of a corpse. Now, this is the criminalization that we can expect if these people get their hands back on the power switch. And so it's important that we recognize that it's not just about defeating Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, and their Project 2025, but it's about protecting our rights as women and really protecting our future and the freedom of this country. Too many freedoms that sometimes people take for granted.
Congresswoman, one more question for you. You're from Ohio. J.D. Vance is from Ohio. What can you tell us about J.D. Vance we might not already know?
Well, I think you've got a chance to see that J.D. Vance and the people of Ohio, much like the Republican Party, are experiencing buyer's remorse. This is a man who, as he attempted to call our vice president a chameleon, has politically twisted himself into a pretzel and a knot to cater for the audience of one, and that is the MAGA manipulator of Mar-a-Lago. He had the one qualification that the Donald J. Trump was looking for, and that was someone who would pledge their allegiance to him and only him. So this is a person who is not interested in serving the public, but really serving himself, and they are relentless when it comes to their pursuit of power. So I would caution the American people and to believe the expression that Maya Angelou has laid out before us: believe people when they show you who they are the first time, because this is what we see. They are duplicitous in nature, diabolical when it comes to their policies, and they do not have the interests of the American people at heart. They are only in this for themselves.
You've just given me a new phrase. I'm going to steal it. MAGA manipulator of Mar-a-Lago. Congresswoman Shontel Brown of Ohio, thank you for coming to The Last Word.
And joining us.
All right. Joining us now, Ken Budge. He is the Democratic mayor of Bisbee, Arizona, which sits just north of the border with Mexico. Mr. Mayor, thank you for being here. J.D. Vance was in your county today. Let's listen to some of what he said.
This is not rocket science. It is not hard to secure the southern border. You just have to re-implement. You've got to stop catch and release. You've got to force the asylum seekers to stay in Mexico while their claims are being adjudicated. And you've got to finish this border wall and re-implement deportations.
That is not what's going to solve the problem. What needs to happen to solve the problem is Congress needs to act, and they actually did through a bipartisan bill that was supported by not only Democrats and Republicans, but actually the border. We know exactly what happened. When it came time, Trump told J.D. Vance and the other MAGA. So, Vice President Harris knows what we need down here. We need full immigration reform and border security. And she wants to provide that to us. And I'm fully supporting her because I know that's what will happen. Mm-hmm. Let's be totally honest in this situation. If the Republicans really wanted to start border security, they could bring that legislation back up, and they could bring it up tomorrow, and we could start working on it and making it happen. We are highly disappointed.
Mayor Budge, give us a reality check of what you're actually seeing.
We were seeing a lot of street releases. And the last 3 months, those have really gone down. To backtrack just a little bit, I mean, I had actually Senator Mark Kelly, he flew down in his plane and met with us down here at the Border Patrol Station early on when we said we need help, we need something to happen. He got together with his Senator Sinema. They went back and they worked hard with the Harris and Biden situation and produced that bill. And we were so happy when that came open. We thought, okay, finally, Congress is doing something and not putting this responsibility on the backs of small local governments like myself.
Last word. And when we come back, it's not going great for the Trump-backed Wisconsin Republican Senate nominee who might be from California. Senator Tammy Baldwin joins us next.
One of the things I like about what I get to do is that each day is I want to dive into it and get something on air about that poll. Or I might find out that there's not a lot of new numbers in the world today. And so today is going to be a day I'm going to spend researching, learning about a state, about the different candidates to get it all in my brain ahead of time.
Look out, 'cause here I come.
Have you always had trouble losing weight and keeping it off? Same.
Gobi, I lost 35 pounds. And some lost over 46 pounds.
We go.
Keep it off. I'm reducing my risk. Wegovy is the only FDA-approved weight management medicine that's proven to reduce risk of major cardiovascular events in adults with known heart disease and with either obesity or overweight.
Wegovy shouldn't be used with semaglutide or GLP-1 medicines. Don't take Wegovy if you or your family had medullary thyroid cancer, multiple endocrine, if you get a lump or swelling in your neck, severe stomach pain, or an allergic reaction. Serious side effects may happen, including pancreatitis and gallbladder problems. Wegovy may cause low about vision problems or changes, or if you feel your heart racing while at rest. Depression or thoughts of suicide may occur. Call your provider right away if you have any mental changes. Common side effects like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea may lead to dehydration, which may cause kidney problems.
With Wegovy,
I'm losing weight.
I'm keeping it off.
And I'm lowering my CV risk. Talking to your healthcare professional about Wegovy.
When you need to prepare for unpredictable adventures, you need WeatherTech. Laser measured floor liners, front and rear. Seat protector to save the seats.
They're all yours.
They're here.
Hey, I knew you were coming, so I WeatherTech the car.
Can we get ice cream?
We can now.
Kid-proof your vehicle with American-made products at WeatherTech.com.
Skating for over 45 years has taken a toll on my body. I take Cunol turmeric because it helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Why Cunol? It has superior absorption compared to regular turmeric. Cunol, the brand I trust.
Shop Etsy for original items under $50 to get you ready for college, even if they're not. Choose from furnishings fit for Etsy has it.
At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. They put their names on arenas, we put ours on my lower back. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. And if this were one of their ads, they'd end it here with a happy customer. So we'll end ours with an angry goat. Oh, look at the angry goat.
Why do couples choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
I need help with their snoring. Thank you.
Save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed plus free home delivery delivery on select smart beds when you add an adjustable base. Shop now.
Features, like the people they're made for, are meant to move. Groundbreaking targeted compression and an anatomical design for a custom-like fit, all backed by a lifetime guarantee. 15% off your first order at features.com.
We've always loved taking care of our home, but last year, Grandpa here broke his arm. We realized some home maintenance jobs.
Technology keeps debris out of your gutters for good.
They gave us a free inspection, and we had this. We can focus on what we really enjoy.
Join millions of satisfied homeowners. Call 833-LEAF-FILTER today or visit leaffilter.com.
In the key Senate race in Wisconsin, the latest polls consistently show Senator Baldwin by 11 points, well outside the margin of error in that survey. Senator Baldwin has spent years on Capitol Hill pushing for health care access, including key reforms in the Affordable Care Act. She's fought to protect reproductive rights, Social Security, Medicare, and as the Senate's first out LGBTQ member, worked to protect key rights. Vice President Kamala Harris, the senator spoke about her opponent, super rich businessman Eric Hovde, who's well known to the locals in Southern California.
I am being challenged by a self-funding multimillionaire by the name of Eric Hovde. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about him. Eric Hovde owns a $3 billion California bank. He owns a $7 million Ocean View, named one of Orange County's most influential residents 3 years in a row. Folks, we have a green county, we have a brown county, we do not have an Orange County, Wisconsin.
The senator's campaign is exactly sitting well with the key voting bloc in Wisconsin, dairy farmers.
They don't clock out at 5 or care if it's the weekend. That means we keep working too.
So when Eric Hovde says that farmers don't work hard, that pisses me off.
Think of farming. Look at the old physical toil that it would take on your body. Now you're largely driving around a tractor.
A California banker criticizing Wisconsin farmers for not working hard? We know what that is.
Eric Hovde, what the hell's wrong with this guy?
I'm Tammy Baldwin, and I approve this message.
As for the presidential race in Wisconsin, today a new report finds Vice President Kamala Harris has closed the polling gap with Donald Trump among Wisconsin voters, according to polls taken since President Joe Biden dropped out of the race. A senior director for Emerson College Polling told voters under the age of 50, independents and ethnic minorities, especially African-American voters, are swinging back towards the Democratic Party. Joining us now is Senator Tammy Baldwin, Democrat of Wisconsin, who's running for her third term in the U.S. Senate. Senator Baldwin, always great to see you. Thank you for being here. We saw you last week campaigning in Wisconsin on the presidential race. Are you feeling a momentum swing or momentum shift for Democrats in your state?
Absolutely. We have seen from Donald Trump and my opponent, Eric Hovde, such division, such chaos. And I think people feel like this is an opportunity for a fresh start, a new beginning. You know, my North Star in campaigning in Wisconsin has been showing up everywhere, whether it's a red, blue, or purple county, whether it's the rural areas, the suburban areas, the urban areas, and listening to the people and respecting the people. And I do feel a fresh energy right now in Wisconsin.
So, Senator, you've had some fun noting your opponent has roots outside the state. But on policy issues, he's going big on culture issues like trans athletes and echoing Donald Trump's scaremongering.
Let's first, you highlighted something he said about farmers being lazy, right? He doesn't stop there. He suggested earlier in the campaign that seniors in nursing homes shouldn't have the right to vote, that single moms had children who are destined for poverty or drug use. There's partly a Wisconsin group that he hasn't insulted. And maybe it's no surprise for a guy who spent more time on his private beach on the Pacific Ocean than he has on a Wisconsin factory floor or on a dairy farm. But it's not just the insults that he has spread. It is sharp differences in issues that matter very much to Wisconsinites. He would repeal the Affordable Care Act in its entirety, cut Medicare, try to reverse all the hard work we've done to lower prescription drug prices, access to abortion rights, while I lead the Women's Health Protection Act. He wants to cut Social Security, and he wants to offer tax breaks for the very rich and pay for those at the expense of people who are working hard to get ahead in Wisconsin. So the issue differences could not be larger either. And so if people want to help me fight back, please go to TammyBaldwin.com and join the team.
Senator, another culture question here. Back in April, your opponent said this during an interview. Listen to this.
Spent a lot of time in the minority communities, and it's very clear they want to get off of welfare. They don't want to be stuck with handouts. They want to take part in the entrepreneurial experience and create wealth.
Senator, they want to get off welfare. They don't want to be stuck with handouts. Your response to that?
Well, several. First of all, as I said, he's been insulting almost every group in Wisconsin. But it's also very clear that he doesn't get Wisconsin, that he hasn't been in our communities. He's spent more time in his $7 million Ocean View home in California than he has getting to know the people of the state. I said earlier, showing up matters. Getting around the state, getting to know people. And the comments he just made, oh my goodness. I mean, I know such incredible entrepreneurs in the Black community across Wisconsin, executives in iconic Wisconsin corporations, hardworking folks. These are just stereotypes and insulting, frankly.
Yeah. One more question for you, Senator. There's still a long campaign until November. How do you hope to keep the momentum going in your campaign?
Well, showing up. And we just broke from session after for the August recess. Tomorrow, I'm going to the Wisconsin State Fair in its opening weekend, and we're going to get all around the state thereafter.
What fried food are you going to eat at the fair? Senator.
Cream puffs. Cream puffs are the things that we celebrate at the Wisconsin State Fair. I mean, there are all sorts of fried things on sticks, I will tell you that. But we're known for our cream puffs. A good.
I OD'd on cheese curds in Milwaukee.
But I like them fresh. I'm the right off the farmstead, squeaky cheese curd type of person.
Oh yeah, I've had squeaky cheese curds, and they are better. Senator Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, thank you very much for coming to The Last Word.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And coming up, Kamala Harris's governors. That's next.
Question: how do you keep up with the news that matters most to you? Getting it from Complete Picture. That's why Smart News is a game changer. Whether it's politics, entertainment, or local news, you get reporting from multiple perspectives. In fact, Smart News pulls articles from almost 500 publishing partners, so you can talk to anyone about anything, knowing you got all the facts. Download Smart News for free today.
When you're a WWE superstar, you get used to doing things the hard way. But watching every episode ever of WWE Legends is. With Sling On Demand, easily find and enjoy Mondays at 8 on A&E. Now that's stratisfaction.
Never know. See things online, you just don't know if they're gonna work.
Is this gonna be powerful enough? Am I actually gonna see substantial results from it?
My dermatologist recommended Nutrafol, and it's 100% drug-free and clinically tested.
Within 3 months, my hair is fuller. It's longer, it's thicker.
It was so nice to be noticed for my hair after hiding it for so many years.
Try the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com.
That something isn't right back home. With MyQ, home is just a touch away. MyQ is the only smart home security solution that provides video monitoring, real-time notifications, and lets you decide who comes in and who stays out, all in one easy-to-use app. So take that well-deserved break. MyQ has you covered.
Always dry scoop before you run. Listen to me. Hot dog diet got me shredded.
It's time we listen to science. One A Day is formulated with key nutrients to support whole body health. One A Day, science that matters.
Want the effects of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rose Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but Sparks dissolve under the tongue. Dissolvables work faster than old school pills. Connect.
Put this dress on that I haven't worn in over 10 years.
This summer, feel confident from head to toe with Sonobello permanent fat removal and get summer body ready in just one visit.
I saw the results immediately.
It's the best I have felt since I was in my 20s.
My waist is tiny. I'm very, very happy.
I'm nearly 50, y'all, and my abs haven't been this flat since before I had kids.
For a limited time, take advantage of Sonobello's biggest sale of the year. Sonobello's board-certified surgeons use micro fat cells for good on your stomach, hips and thighs, back, and so much more.
It will change your life. It did for me.
I can't wait till the summertime hit. Hot Mom Summer, here I come.
Call 1-800-497-1509.
The best things in life come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 thumbs up. And now, buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, 2 months free. All with fast, reliable, nationwide coverage. Make the switch today.
Super Beats, America's original and #1 selling beat brand for heart health support, is now available at Walmart. More cardiologists recommend Super Beats for heart health support than any other beat brand. So head to Walmart and try Super Beats Heart Chews today.
I am, I cried. I am, said I. Lost and I can't
Punch Buggy Red.
even say why. I am myself.
There are 11 governor's races in 2020 race in North Carolina. But the governor's race Donald Trump is laser focused on winning? Pennsylvania.
These are unbelievable patriots, by the way. They're almost as tough as our congressman sitting in the front. They're almost as tough as the man that's going to be your next governor. 2 things about the chart. It's always on my left. I have Mr. Governor, Mr. Future Governor.
Mr. Future Governor, Republican David McCormick, who is running for Senate. 2 different times, 15 minutes apart. Trump said the Republican Senate candidate was running for governor. Of course, Democrat Josh Shapiro was elected governor of Pennsylvania in 2020. And for what it's worth, 0 editorial boards have called for Trump to drop out of the presidential suggests. Joining us now, Colorado Governor Jared Polis, Vice Chair of the National Governors Association. Governor Polis, thank you very much for coming to the last word. Before we get into the campaign, could you please give us an update on the wildfires in
states across the West, Idaho, California, Oregon, Colorado, we have a number of active fires. I just want to express gratitude to the men and women on the ground fighting on the aerial support. It's tough. There's a lot of folks who are temporarily dislocated from their homes, and here in Colorado, at least a couple dozen that won't be able to go back and have had their homes destroyed. So thanks for acknowledging that, and we appreciate the hard work of the men and women fighting the wildfires.
Well, sure thing. So Governor Paulus, it's day 11 for the Harris for President campaign. What's the reaction in Colorado, Ben?
You know, it's been an amazing 11 days, my goodness. I mean, from early on when, I was one of the first governors, if not the first, to informally secure the delegates to do it. But more than that, winning over the hearts and minds of the country with a powerful message about this is about the future, not returning to the chaos of the past. And this is about protecting our fundamental freedoms. It's about the kind of country we want to be, where we have the right to decide decisions for our own family, when and if to have kids, the basics. It's not Donald Trump's role to make that decision. It's not your governor's role to make that decision. It's each and every American's role. And that message has really caught on like wildfire. And, you know, she's ahead in Colorado. She's ahead now in college, but I feel we have a lot of good momentum.
As you well know, the talent bench of Democratic governors is deep. Governors Shapiro, Beshear, Walz, Pritzker are all on the VP shortlist. What would Harris get from a governor that she wouldn't get from a senator as her VP pick?
And I'm glad you also mentioned the top governors' races this November. New Hampshire, North Carolina, very important races. Not a race in Pennsylvania, as you indicated. Look, governors run as their states as chief executives every day. So in somebody like Josh Shapiro and the others you mentioned, you have leaders who've dealt with fires, they've dealt with floods, they've dealt with the economy. I think to have somebody at her side that's really has that executive experience is key. And of course, somebody that also can be a powerful amplifier of her message of this is a fight for our future and a fight for our freedoms.
Governor, your state, Colorado, was a red state in presidential elections before Barack Obama was elected. How did Democrats turn it into a reliably blue state?
Well, first of all, you know, politics is always about what you're going to do for me tomorrow, not what you did yesterday. In our state, unaffiliated voters that aren't Republicans or Democrats, majority soon, right? Democrats and Republicans are both decreasing in our state. So, look, those unaffiliated voters, you have to win them over. How do you win them over? You talk about the issues that matter. It's about saving people money. It's about protecting your freedom. It's about making sure that we can move forward as a state, forward as a nation. Colorado has unemployment rate well below the national average. We've made college free for the first 2 years for every family making under $90,000 a year. Every family now has free preschool and kindergarten for their 4 years of initiatives for our country that will garner great support, not just among Democrats, not just among unaffiliated, but even among many Republicans who will support her work to tame inflation, reduce costs, save families money, and protect our freedoms.
Governor Jared Paulus of Colorado, thank you very much for coming to The Last Word.
Thank you, Jonathan.
And tonight's Last Word is next.
Hi. If you're facing cancer, you don't have to choose between cutting-edge treatment. Our team treats you with empathy and compassion every step of the way, because we're on this journey with you. Providence Swedish.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs, and maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our prescription drug premiums are zero and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save, even if you don't think you qualify. It pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp.
The Home Beyond the Earth experience was amazing. The answer to the question of should I or should I not
Bounce back fast from heartburn with Tums Gummy Bites and love food back.
At Care.com, it's easy to get a break, even if you're not on summer vacation. Join millions of families who've trusted us and find caregivers. Come now to find the care you need this summer.
Oh, man, I love a good hotel breakfast.
Same. The last room a week ago.
I booked yesterday. One night, $140.
What?
How?
Some sites panic you into booking their last room, but they don't have all the availability. Instead, use Trivago. Trivago compares hotel prices from hundreds of sites, so you can save up to $50 a night.
Well, at least I got the last ticket to the game.
So did I.
Hotel Trivago.
I can only juggle so many things. That's why I use Life Balanced. And the best part? My first cleaning was just $19.
So don't let that chip spoil your trip.
Safe Life Repair, Safe Life.
Is that a chip? That happens a lot, but SafeLight could have helped. A chip repair is fast-free, so don't let that chip spoil your trip. Book today.
SafeLight Repair, SafeLight Replace.
We just shipped our millionth monthly coffee subscription box, so we're sending custom thank you gifts to our team. Our custom ink rep is just as excited as we are and knows what great quality products to get. Celebrate your milestones with custom gifts.
Keep me warm when I'm cold?
Wait, no, I'm always hot.
Sleep Number does that. Save 40% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed plus free home delivery on select smart beds when you add an adjustable base. Shop now.
We need a small business loan.
There's a better way to get a fast small business loan. Go to OnDeck.com, and if approved, get your funds as soon as the same day. Your loan is on deck.
For years, I was stuck using traditional foundation. They'd always cake or crease in my fine line. That's why I created Bake, Balance, and Brighten, our award-winning foundation for mature skins. You'll love how it feels and how you'll look. Learn more at laurageller.com.
A U.S. senator destroyed the country's most outrageous political demagogue, ascending toward the peak of American power. Willing to face down tyranny and the risk to the country if they fail.
Rachel Maddow presents Ultra, Season 2 of the chart-topping original podcast. Listen now on Amazon Music.
Opportunity to come together, to stand up for what we want as Americans and voters, and not just sit there and accept division as the outcome. It's a chance to unite.
Breaking news, we are waiting to see live pictures of the president and vice president greeting 3 of the Americans released as part of the prisoner swap with Russia. The president and vice president will meet with Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, former Marine Paul Whelan, and Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty journalist Alsu Kurmasheva. The plane is expected to land in the next hour. Stay tuned for coverage of this meeting right here on MSNBC tonight. For now, that is tonight's last word, the 11th hour.
Good evening once again. I'm Stephanie Rule, and we are tracking the breaking news about those American prisoners returning to the U.S. after today's historic deal with Russia. Just outside Washington, D.C., President Biden and Vice President Harris will greet the hostages, including Evan Gershkovich and Paul Whelan. When the plane arrives, we expect that to be sometime within the next Senate Majority